Thanks for tuning in to the Smoke and Mirrors Heavy Duty Big Game Edition Fly Tying Tutorial. Meant for heavy lifting, marshes, jungles, all that stuff. My standard deal is 1/4 inch dirty dumbbells, SL12S 1X short or standard depending on what you're doing, Vivus power thread, Fireline for body reinforcement, Marabou rubber legs, hackle, all the good stuff. Start by attaching your thread to your shank, and we're going to build a little thread bump right behind the eye, and that is what we are going to rest our dumbbells up against for attachment. And we're going to do a bunch of X wraps. We're going to break our thread once. Don't be scared. This is the Vivus 240 power thread I used to attach all our dumbbells. Check out our video on our YouTube channel just about dumbbells. But X wraps followed by helicopter wraps followed by anchor wraps. Super important to get those anchor wraps in there. Add a drop of thin super glue such as Zap-A-Gap fore and aft on the dumbbells, and that's going to keep them going through all the tough spots for a very long time. We're going to swap to our 140 power thread now for the remainder of the fly, and this keeps our bulk down with plenty of strength. Watch those wire tips. They will cut your thread. Attach our joint. I first tie it on the side because I want a wide profile, and then as I get back to the bend of the hook, I'm going to rotate that joint right on top. We're going to use a little clump of ice dub here to flare out our underskirt, which we're using hackle for. So prep either a schlappen or a nice webby feather with some good fibers to it and tie that in right in front of the dubbing clump. We're going to palmer that right on top of itself here. You'll advance a little bit, but depending on how your feather is, this is a nice thin quill, which makes it really easy. So I'm going to tie that off, and I'm going to pull all those fibers back and wrap back till they hit the dubbing clump, and that's going to create a really nice clean space for our joint to operate. We're going to use tip stacked Marabou, roll wrapped. Both videos are up on our YouTube channel as well, so check those out if you've never done that. And we just want a 360-degree skirt all the way around this middle section, and that's going to be our overskirt in the middle section. It looks really good when you can get it all the way around. Next, tie in a little chunk of Fireline. I've got 20-pound Fireline here. Love this stuff for reinforcing bodies. And a similarly long chunk of body chenille. In this case, I've got Spectrum Glimmer and Chartreuse. Love this stuff. Once that's attached, we're going to X-wrap 2 sets of 4 rubber legs here, round rubber. And I've got them at 2 3/8 inches wide. When you hold up your polar chenille and your Fireline together, just get it kind of sorted out so they're not fighting each other, and then start twisting. You'll see as you twist, it'll tighten up at the top and then get all the way down to where the fly is. Just watch those Marabou fibers. They like to get involved. Once it's nice and tight, start palmering forward, and we're going to retrace our X wraps with this braided body. So go past your rubber legs underneath, then cross diagonally going back, go down and around, and then cross diagonally again going forward to retrace your X wraps. And I'm going to do one more wrap, and then I'm going to really anchor this down with my thread. And next, grab a pair of pliers and get a hold of that chunk of power of the Fireline and pull that tight. You'll see I'm going to get about a 1/4 of an inch pull. That's going to lock your whole body up. Use a couple more wraps and trim that, and then I'm going to use the remaining chunk of my Spectrum Glimmer here just to tighten things up a little bit. It looks really good. And we're going to preparing to attach our pectoral fins, our Marabou tip feathers. So I've saved these Marabou tips from other feathers where I've been using just the core fibers from. So I'm going to take my first Marabou tip feather and tie it in backwards on the northwest hemisphere if we were looking right at the fly head on, and flip that down and around the dumbbell and tie it off right in front of the rubber legs. And we're going to rinse, wash, and repeat. However, I tied it in a little long here, so I'm going to unwrap my tie downs, and I'm going to wrap, and once it unflips, I'm going to wrap back towards the point of the hook, and that's going to therefore shorten the total length of my feather. And I want it to be just a little longer than the rubber legs here. So perfect. Now that we've got that, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So now we're looking at the northeast hemisphere of the fly where we're tying it on. Flip it down and around and tie it off again right in front of the rubber legs. I find it easiest to moisten that other side while I do this so I don't get the fibers caught. In this case, I tied it in and it was too short. So now I'm going to unwrap, detach, and reattach a little closer to the dumbbells. And that's going to effectively give me a longer feather. And that's going to be perfect length, just a little longer than the dumbbells. And now we're going to clean it up with a couple wraps here and coat that thread neck with UV ice dub. We're looking to have a symmetric total profile here. I'm going to kind of nip and tuck a little bit of those tips, but coat that in UV ice dub and put a spot of UV flex resin right at the tie-off point before we finish everything out. Cure that up so it doesn't unravel while we're doing this. And now I'm going to coat the whole top with flex resin, and I like to use the nozzle of the bottle to go with the grain of the marabou, and that keeps it looking nice and tidy. And then vice versa for the belly, we're going to coat the whole thing. Make sure you get plenty of that ice dub coated too, and that's going to keep this fly fighting through all rounds of the battle. Get that cured up, and now we get to do a little graphics work. I did neon orange Sharpie here and barred it up on the pecs, and then I like doing the middle body and the tail. It looks super cool and really pops under that ultraviolet spectrum. And really like to have fun with it. You can do whatever you want, but neon Sharpies are great to have at your bench. So check this out. A lot of cool colors coming through there. Obviously, this is a very bright fly. This is one of our favorites for fishing the marsh. You can see it. They can see it. Now we're going to brush everything out, and we are ready for action. Thanks a ton for tuning in. Drop any questions into our comments, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.